welcome to Daily Briefing. I'm Alex.
And I'm Sarah. June 29th, 2026.
Today we're tracking a major shift in U.S. immigration policy, a $500 billion move by South Korea to dominate the AI chip market, and a stunning discovery on Mars. It's 54 degrees and clear skies right now here in Parker, Colorado, heading for a high of 85.
That Martian discovery is going to blow people's minds. So, let's get into it.
Turning to U.S. news, the Homeland Security Secretary has issued a stark and highly controversial directive to migrants currently in the country on temporary status.
They're being explicitly told to either find a legal pathway to permanent residency or start preparing to leave the United States.
This represents a massive tightening of the administration's Immigration Enforcement and Policy Administration. Over the last several years, we've seen various extensions of temporary protected status, as well as humanitarian parole programs.
Millions of people have relied on those extensions to live and work legally. Now the federal government is drawing a hard line, signaling that these grace periods are permanently ending.
The logistical and human challenge here is immense. We're talking about hundreds of thousands of people who've built lives, secured mortgages, and enrolled their children in American schools under these temporary provisions.
Finding a pathway to permanent residency is notoriously difficult. The system is heavily backlogged, and most of these individuals don't have straightforward options to just adjust their status through an employer or a family member.
Legal advocates are already warning that this directive will simply push a massive population back into the shadows. They argue it undermines the workforce in key sectors like agriculture, hospitality, and construction.
The administration is countering that argument by saying they're simply enforcing the law exactly as it's written. They want to restore integrity to the temporary visa systems, which they claim previous administrations used as backdoor permanent immigration.
The political timing is also impossible to ignore. With elections looming, the administration is clearly trying to project a tougher stance on border control and interior enforcement.
We'll have to see how aggressively immigration and customs enforcement actually pursues those whose status expires. It's one thing to issue a directive, but physically deporting hundreds of thousands of established residents is another matter entirely.
Coming up, we look at a rapid and dangerous sequence of military escalation in the Middle East. Moving over to global news, we've seen a dizzying sequence of military escalation, followed by sudden diplomatic de-escalation in the Persian Gulf.
It started over the weekend when Iran launched direct attacks on facilities in Bahrain and Kuwait. This was framed as direct retaliation following recent U.S. military strikes in the region.
Following the strikes, the Iranian government threatened to completely halt all ongoing diplomatic negotiations. For a very tense 24 hours, it looked like the entire Gulf was on the brink of a much wider regional war.
Bahrain and Kuwait are critical U.S. allies. Bahrain actually hosts the U.S. Navy's Fifth Fleet, and Kuwait is a major logistical hub for the American military.
Attacking those specific nations was a clear message from Tehran that any U.S. strikes would carry a heavy, immediate regional cost.
But just as global markets and the international community,
U.S. officials confirmed both sides will step back from further military action and will actually resume the diplomatic talks that Iran had just threatened to abandon.
it's a remarkable whiplash. This de-escalation marks a critical moment, pulling the Middle East back from the edge of a devastating and unpredictable conflict.
The real question is what concessions were made through back channels to achieve this sudden ceasefire. Neither side wants a full-scale war, but the underlying tensions regarding regional influence remain completely unresolved.
Meanwhile, the geopolitical competition for technological supremacy just hit a major new milestone. China has officially built the world's fastest supercomputer.
The new system is called Line Shine, and it just overtook the U.S. system known as El Capitan in the top 500 rankings.
What makes this particularly notable is that China achieved this computing milestone despite heavy U.S. export restrictions on advanced microchips.
Washington has spent years trying to throttle Beijing's computing capabilities by cutting off access to high-end silicon from companies like NVIDIA and AMD.
Line shot.
Supercomputing dominance isn't just about national pride or bragging rights.
Losing the top spot will definitely spark alarm in Washington. It'll likely trigger calls for even more domestic investment in next-generation computing infrastructure.
In another theater of ongoing conflict, the Russian cyber threat group, known as Gamma has significantly expanded its attacks against Ukraine.
They're deploying entirely new strains of malware and aggressively abusing legitimate cloud services to hide their tracks.
Gamma has been active for over a decade, but this latest campaign shows a high level of tactical evolution.
That makes it incredibly hard for Ukrainian network defenders to block the malicious activity without accidentally disrupting essential government or civilian services.
This escalation is a stark reminder that the war in Ukraine is being fought just as fiercely on digital networks as it is in the physical trenches.
The continuous evolution of cyber warfare tactics here is concerning for everyone. These same malware techniques eventually trickle out to other state-sponsored hackers and global criminal syndicates.
Let's turn our attention to South Asia for a quick update on India. Over in India, the military is getting a new leader. Lieutenant General Dheeraj Seth has been officially named as the country's next army chief.
He steps into the role at a highly sensitive time. India is aggressively modernizing its armed forces while managing persistent and complex border security challenges with both China and Pakistan.
Down the coast in Mumbai, a massive rescue effort ended in tragedy yesterday. A 26-foot humpback whale washed ashore, drawing huge crowds and specialized marine rescue teams.
Despite hours of effort to keep the animal wet and guide it back to deeper water as the tide shifted, the whale didn't survive. It's raising fresh concerns about marine life safety and changing environmental conditions along the Indian coastline.
Finally, the Central Board of Secondary Education, or CBSE, has rolled out new guidelines for its three-language policy.
The scheme, known as the Bharatiya Bhashas Framework, outlines new board exam rules and specific exemptions. The goal is to streamline language education and strongly promote regional languages across affiliated schools.
When we come back, we'll break down a massive $500 billion bet on the future of artificial intelligence. Let's talk markets. South Korea is making an astronomical financial commitment to secure its place in the global technology supply chain.
The government just unveiled an $880 billion investment plan focused entirely on boosting semiconductor manufacturing and artificial intelligence capabilities.
As part of that broader national initiative, South Korean tech giants are pooling their resources to build a $518 billion chip-making hub.
That $500 billion hub is specifically designed to serve the soaring global demand for AI hardware. They're building new production facilities, research campuses.
This is a direct response to the massive subsidy programs we're seeing in the US and Europe. South Korea knows that dominating the next-generation microchip supply chain is critical to their national economic survival.
It's a colossal project, but it shows just how capital-intensive the AI revolution has become. You simply can't compete in this space without spending hundreds of billions of dollars.
But not everyone is thrilled about this endless flood of money into AI. The Bank for International Settlements, often called the central bank of central banks, has issued a severe warning.
They're cautioning that the current artificial intelligence market frenzy could actually trigger a massive stock market slump and jeopardize the broader economy.
The BIS argues that speculative capital is pouring into AI-related tech stocks at an entirely unsustainable rate. They're seeing classic, textbook signs of an asset bubble.
If that bubble bursts, the resulting market correction could easily destabilize global financial markets. We've seen this exact scenario play out before with the dot-com boom in the late 90s.
The institution is urging central banks and retail investors alike to exercise extreme caution. They want to see more focus on actual, tangible revenue generation rather than just speculative growth projections.
It's a very sobering reality check arriving right in the middle of this massive, multi-year tech rally.
We're also seeing some harsh reality checks in the cryptocurrency markets today. U.S.-listed spot Bitcoin ETFs just recorded over $4 billion in net outflows for the month of June.
That makes it their worst month on record, since these funds were finally approved by regulators. It's a massive, sustained wave of redemptions.
The initial excitement that drove billions into these ETFs earlier this year seems to be fading quickly. We're seeing cooling institutional interest and a lot of broader market caution.
Investors might be reallocating their capital to safer, yield-bearing assets, or perhaps they're just taking profits after the big run-up we saw in the spring.
Either way, it proves that institutional adoption of digital assets isn't going to be a straight line up.
Speaking of crypto hurdles, up to 80% of Europe's unlicensed crypto firms are facing potential closure today.
The transitional period for the markets in crypto assets regulation, or MiCA, officially ends on July 1st.
This regulatory shift is forcing unauthorized service providers to wind down their operations immediately. It's going to completely reshape the European digital asset landscape.
It's a massive wipeout for smaller players who simply couldn't afford the heavy compliance costs, effectively leaving the market to the heavily regulated, traditional financial giants.
In corporate restructuring news, British American Tobacco has announced plans to cut 9,000 jobs globally.
The massive reduction is part of a major cost-cutting initiative. The tobacco giant is trying to streamline its legacy operations and pivot its focus toward digital and AI-focused technologies.
On the tech side, we've got a daring rescue mission happening in orbit.
On the tech side, NASA is currently organizing a high-stakes, unprecedented rescue mission to save its Swift space telescope from falling back to Earth.
The Swift Observatory has been absolutely crucial for astronomers who rely on its observations to study gamma-ray bursts and extreme high-energy cosmic events.
But its orbit is decaying much faster than engineers originally expected. Losing Swift would be a massive blow to the global astrophysics community.
The telescope provides rapid, automated alerts to other observatories around the world the second a transient cosmic event occurs. It's essentially the early warning system for the universe.
The rescue plan they're putting together is incredibly complex. They need to send an autonomous spacecraft to rendezvous with the telescope, physically attached to it, and boost it into a higher, stable orbit.
We've seen satellite servicing missions before, but performing this delicate maneuver on an aging observatory that was never designed to be docked with is a whole different level of difficulty.
If they manage to pull it off, it'll extend the life of a vital scientific instrument for at least another decade.
Speaking of vital science, NASA's Perseverance rover has made a truly tantalizing discovery in an ancient Martian river channel.
The rover drilled into a mudstone outcrop called Chiava Falls and found tiny mineral patterns that scientists are referring to as leopard spots.
What makes these specific spots so exciting is that they're tangled with organic carbon. On Earth, these exact patterns are often left behind when microbes consume organic matter.
The scientists at the Jet Propulsion Laboratory are being very careful to say this isn't definitive proof of ancient alien life. There are non-biological chemical processes that could potentially create these iron and phosphate rings.
But it's exactly the kind of chemical signature they sent Perseverance to find. It's arguably the most compelling evidence, yet that Mars may have once hosted microbial life.
To get definitive proof, we'll likely need to bring those rock samples back to Earth for rigorous analysis in advanced laboratories, which is exactly what the Mars Sample Return mission aims to do. Neuroscientists have long believed that humans are born with all the brain neurons they'll ever have, and that neurogenesis completely stops after birth.
But new research published this year has documented newly formed neurons in the brains of adult patients as old as 78.
This completely rewrites our fundamental understanding of brain plasticity and aging. The adult brain is actually capable of generating new cells in specific regions like the hippocampus.
This discovery opens up incredible new avenues for treating age-related cognitive decline, Alzheimer's disease, and traumatic brain injuries.
If researchers can figure out how to stimulate and support this natural neurogenesis using targeted therapies, it could revolutionize neurological medicine.
Looking at the commercial space sector, SpaceX successfully launched a massive 15,000-pound Sirius XM broadcasting satellite into orbit from Florida.
That's an exceptionally heavy payload, and it really demonstrates the reliable, heavy lifting capacity of the Falcon rockets. It'll significantly strengthen the commercial telecommunications infrastructure across North America.
Meanwhile, China is preparing to land a spacecraft on a near-Earth asteroid, which astronomers often refer to as a mini-moon.
The ambitious mission aims to gather geological data directly from the asteroid's surface, hoping to unlock chemical secrets about the very early formation of our solar system.
And NASA's James Webb Space Telescope has captured stunning new infrared views of the Cigar Galaxy, also known as M82.
The telescope observed millions of individual stars within the galaxy's core. The probe will study a rare class of space rock, which mission scientists say will essentially add a completely new beast to our existing zoo of known asteroids.
Coming up, we hit the sports desk for a historic comeback on the golf course and a major front office shakeup in the NBA.
Turning to sports, we just witnessed one of the most dramatic turnarounds in modern women's.
Haerin Ryu has won the Women's PGA Championship after overcoming a massive 10-shot deficit following the opening round.
To trail by 10 shots at a major tournament and claw your way back to lift the trophy is almost unheard of. She played absolutely flawless, aggressive golf over the entire weekend to secure the victory.
In international soccer, Canada has officially advanced to the next round of the World Cup after defeating South Africa 1-0.
Steven Eustáquio was the absolute hero of the match, scoring a dramatic late goal in what was the tournament's very first knockout game. The heartbreaking loss officially eliminates South Africa from the competition.
And the fallout from the World Cup is already hitting other national teams hard. South Korea's national football coach has officially resigned.
His departure comes after intense public criticism and a highly unusual, direct call from the country's president for an official probe into their disastrous World Cup loss.
The national team program is now in complete disarray as they scramble to search for new leadership ahead of their next round of international qualifiers. This potential trade,
it shows the Blazers' front office is willing to make highly aggressive moves to build a legitimate, deep contender in the Western Conference. The massive investments in artificial intelligence show that the race for the future is going to cost hundreds of billions of dollars.
Thanks for listening. We'll see you tomorrow.
Take care, everyone.